Back to the Future is coming back to theaters this month. So I went through all the episodes of Back to the Future, the animated series, because I did videos on the Back to the Future movies a while ago, and I do want to re-review them, but I just don't have the time, and I've never seen the show before, so I thought I'd check it out. So this show has an interesting legacy behind it. This is actually the show that kind of made, Rick and Morty in a way, right? This was a big influence on that show. Doc and Marty were what Rick and Morty was based on. There was a parody animation that Justin Roiland did and Dan Harmon, and that's cool. But it wasn't really the movies per se they were mostly influenced by. It was also the series as well. Also, this show features live action segments with Christopher Lloyd, even though it's mostly animated, and there's segments with Bill Nye the Science Guy, which proved to be so popular that he eventually got his own show. So, for a 26 episode series that didn't only lasted 2 seasons, it did pretty well for itself, legacy wise. Is the show any good though? No, it's really not. In fact, I'll be honest, I didn't watch all the episodes. I watched I watched the first season, then I watched the eight other episodes out of season 2. So there's about, what is it, 5 episodes I didn't bother watching. But I just couldn't do it anymore. This show is just not good. I found it very bizarre. I found out they actually were going to get Marty McFly and to do, not Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox do the voice. But I can't imagine he would want to do the voice for this show. I guess he couldn't because of scheduling. Christopher Lloyd, kind of same thing, but he was around long enough that they could film him for live action segments. But it's just this movie's just not, or this series isn't fun. It's also very weird how this series ends up being canon, because essentially, if you watch the movies, Doc and Marty complete their character arcs. They don't really. It's kind of hard to do a Back to the Future thing that's canon to the movie, because the movies end with them deciding that using time traveling is irresponsible, and the ways they go about it, and stuff. So to do a Saturday morning cartoon where they go back in time and go on all these things was okay, a little bit it could be fun, but also it's kind of hard to do. So the way they did it is at the end of the third movie, Doc has kids, of course, and so they kind of expand on them. But their kids are such boring, nothing characters that I genuinely hate watching, because I don't remember anything about them. They're very bland. They have very odd designs. Because this one has that thing on his head, the raccoon thing, and this one's kind of whatever. But why do they look like that if they're now living in modern times with Marty? It's just really bizarre how this whole thing worked out. And they travel back in time and do different mishaps, and Biff is there and all this stuff. It's if it was really, really entertaining, none of this would really matter. But like I said, it's just really boring. I don't really like these characters. The animation isn't very strong. I don't know what year this series came out. When did this show come out? But, does it say? Looking for copyright dates. It doesn't say, but it had to be early 90s. And with stuff like Batman the Animated Series and Animaniacs. Animaniacs is kind of the better comparison. Animaniacs was also Amblin, who, was involved with the series. And they had amazing animation for that show. And this series just does not have that. I don't know. It's kind of you spent all this money filming live action segments with Christopher Lloyd, but you could actually work to make the live action segments be gone and just actually film some great or have some great animation to really make this thing pop off, or some better scripts and storytelling. So not a very strong series, very boring series. If you grew up with it and you like it, no hate to you, but this is just one of those things where it does have a fan base that remembers this and likes this show, but it also has an interesting legacy, but actually going back and watching it is kind of difficult. Let me know your thoughts, like, share, and subscribe.